Well, the third largest city in the United States is Chicago, and about 45 minutes to the southwest lies Joliet, Illinois, where Chicagoland Speedway was built in 2001, and for a couple of decades it hosted some of the best racing on the NASCAR circuit. And tonight we race on it as we get closer and closer to the playoffs for the Area Truck Series. Race number 10 of 17 in the season. And after tonight, just 2 rounds remain. One at Rockingham, one at Talladega to wrap up our regular season and qualify the last few drivers into the playoffs. I'm Kyle Heyer, joined by Connor Horn tonight. Connor, welcome aboard to the 1.5-mile Chicagoland Speedway. It sits dormant on the NASCAR calendar now, but it has put on some amazing racing, and last night it was a frustrating race for many, but it was still pretty fierce out front.
Very fierce out front, and out front's exactly where you wanted to be last night. Track position so important in the next-gen car. I think it'll be important tonight again, but I think passing might be a little easier, but handleability might be a bigger issue tonight than it was yesterday. Cars yesterday were pretty tight. Really hard to get them loosened up. I think tonight's a different story. The rear end not really on the ground as much as it needs to be, getting very sideways in practice. I've seen a lot of drivers sliding out of turns 2 and 4. So side by side is going to be a battle for a lot of drivers tonight. We'll see every lane used as we have in the previous 2 truck races here. So it should be a pretty good show. Not the season finale this time around, but still going to be a pretty important race towards our playoff push.
Yeah, and of course this racetrack, it's got some nuance to it. That back straightaway, all that Brandt bannering you see, that's along the curved backstretch. And really Calamity Corner here tends to be turn 2, although we've seen some incidents off of turn 4. Even last night we saw some there. We only had 1 yellow flag though, and it was for a collision right here on this curved back straightaway. It's hard to see, especially when you're in heat of battle in the thick of traffic. And especially with the multi-group racing, Connor, you get a lot of condensing on corner exit as people vibe to get back on the racing line.
I think we had 2 yellows last night, but we did have one that wasn't a yellow.
Oh, we almost only had
the backstretch. Yeah. We did almost only have 1. Probably should have only had 1, but yeah, that kind of brings calamity on that backstretch a little bit. That exit of turn number 2 curve, some drivers not ready for it sometimes. But really, the entry to turn 1 can be a trouble point as well, because it's kind of like Kansas and Las Vegas, where you might be fighting for the outside, and you'll see people blocking to the outside wall in the tri-oval. We've seen it many, many times, cause crashes at Vegas and Kansas, and we saw a similar sort of crash turn into a green-white checkered last night with the 9 getting turned by the 19. So we'll see if that comes into play as well. Like we said, we saw a crash on the tri-oval as well. So you really can wreck anywhere. But truck races, knock on wood, usually not the case in the 2 times we've been here. 1 yellow each. And most of the time, the drivers who qualify out the front stay up front. But I think you can move through the field tonight a little bit better as we look at the 67 of Cameron Hearn trying to put a lap down.
Yeah, qualifying underway now. And last night, Connor, you qualified pretty well, got a start jump penalty, and took basically the rest of the race to go much of anywhere. But the big thing with the truck is the new aerodynamic model has changed the handling of this thing so much. I'm not sure how much we can really read into the only 1 yellow each in races past, but I'm hoping it stays that way. Last night we had a lot of green flag running, some strategy, some green flag pit stops playing into things. So I'm really excited to see what tonight can hold as Hearn goes to the bottom in 3 and 4. Didn't get all the way down there though, and this is one of those things about this multi-groove racetrack. You can kind of run anywhere and find speed.
Yeah, you practice his qualifying, you want to be on the bottom. We saw a few different lines Monday night, but we will see the bottom used pretty early on in the session, in the race, I mean, as John Hall's going to go to the top of the board. I think before the tires were out, you're going to be around the bottom because I just don't think you'll be able to gain enough of a run on that top side, but that groove should widen out as Jonathan Evans is going to go try to put a time on the board. Sean Peachin is in second. That's a great qualifying run for the 69 truck. If he could stay up there. Garrett Grant ninth. He had a great run last night. Evans needs a good run. He's just on the outside of that top 20 cut line that we've been looking at with our race winners. He's 9 points below 20th. He needs to be in to make that win count. We're going to be talking about it these last 3 races with the 9 and the 12 of iRacing, who's also below that top 20 cut line.
And Evans at a 30.688. That'll put him 7th place on the board. Waterworth is on track. Ricky Springer is just getting up to speed here. Devin Johnson is completing his lap. Let's see what he's got in the tank for qualifying. 30.920. That'll put him 15th.
Probably won't be happy with that. Struggled at Montreal last week. Maybe he would have wished we were at the dirt, but should be more in his atmosphere this time as Jake Nichols is going to come across the line, start his flying lap as he's finally won a truck race, top of the standings by 10 points over the 32 Sebastian Marin, who has 4 wins. So that playoff seeding, really important to get that regular season title, to not let the 32 get that big of an advantage. His advantage in the playoff seeding is only 5 right now over Nichols. 73, try to go back to back, a little wiggle up the racetrack. He used all the track out of turn 4. Let's see what the kind of lap it is.
And it will be a 30.517, and it will go to the top. That is how good Jake Nichols has been. And despite him getting his first win last season, that's not really indicative, or last week I should say, that wasn't really totally indicative of the pace that he's had this year.
No, certainly hasn't. That's why he's the points leader with 3 less wins. As Ryan Swan, who will have to go to the rear tonight, is going to put a time down anyways, just to try to be seated higher when he gets his EOL penalty, starting his lap. David Weissart just went second on the board. He's a former winner here, only 100th behind Jake Nichols, and last season's winner in the finale to take the title, Jake Matheson, riding the bottom line through turns 3 and 4, also struggling to hold it down, but seemed like a cleaner exit than what the 73 had. Slams the apron, just trying to get as much speed out of it as possible to the line. He goes 3rd.
Yeah, by 1,000th over Sebastian Marin. Connor Urashak beginning his lap. Let's see what he's got in this number 12. He has really been hot or cold this season, hasn't he? It's been quite the season for him. He's been taken out of some really good runnings, but let me just read you his finishes. 4th, 43rd, 1st, 3rd, 42nd, 7th, 36th. Been a tough season.
Yeah, it's kind of like Beckner in the Pro Series, but a little less extreme because he has less wins. He comes across the line 180 miles an hour. He goes 5th on the board, so I think he'll be happy with that. Seidenfaden just crossed the line. He won't get to put a lap down. Brett Slaughter's trying to make it to the line.
Whoa,
if he could get a lap down, he did get a time down. It's only good enough for 21st position, though.
Well, he'll take it, I think. Better than nothing, that's for sure. But, wow, interesting qualifying session. We've got 120 laps on the radar here this evening. And again, this is the 10th round of the season. And race fans, be sure to subscribe to the Area iRacing Twitch channel. If you haven't, as a subscriber, you'll have Area iRacing emotes to use in the chat, and you can earn double channel points that you can use to redeem for free merchandise for just $5 a month. Join today at twitch.tv/Area iRacing. And our starting grid sponsor, when we go over that here in a few minutes, is Central Mobile Homes. If you're looking for a small or large home, a new shed, or a Triple Crown trailer, look no further than Central Mobile Homes. They've been proudly serving Florida customers for 28 years with a plethora of small and large home floor plans, shed designs, and Triple Crown trailers. Available in LaBelle, Okeechobee, Clewiston, and Sebring. Head to centralmobilehomesinc.com to get started today. Let's talk about the championship picture here, the point standings. We've got Trey Eidson that's just above the cut line. Casey Lakatos just behind it. But there's a few drivers that I think are a bit surprising that are back there. I think Ricky Springer in particular, we've seen him have so much success elsewhere, but this season in the trucks, it has not really been his season.
Yeah, hasn't had much go his way in the truck series, no doubt about it. Edward Scherer Jr., he's 25 points back. He hasn't had the best of seasons. So yeah, those guys back there are going to try to have to get something going. But there are the guys who have those wins. Evans and Eurotrack need to get inside the top 20. If they got inside the top 20, that cut line would shift big time. Instead of Eitzen being up by 6, he'd likely be back by about 31 points. It'd be Travis Beckner on the cut line, only 5 points ahead of Daniel Day. So a lot of shifting is going to happen in these last 3 races, depending on what happens with the 12 and the 9. And depending on who else wins, it could throw all sorts of things out of whack. And you still have some guys just outside the top 20 without wins that could still get in as well. Drew Jua, Justana Sogak, Eric Wineland, Gary Waterworth, Patrick Moose is 28th in points. He's around better than that, in my opinion. And Balliette's in 30th. There's a lot of time to go. 3 races. Anyone could win these few races, I would think.
I would say so. And you look at the tracks that are upcoming. I made this point last night that, tracks that Chicagoland has some similarity to. You could throw Kansas absolutely in the mix. They're sort of sister tracks in a way. And then Atlanta, where we finish, it's a pretty different 1.5 mile racetrack, but it is a 1.5 mile racetrack. So, you got those 2 tracks finish the playoff calendar. If you're good tonight, you're going to be good there, I think. So this is a pretty good barometer of how you might do in championship crunch time.
Yeah, those drivers who are near the top of the playoff seeding are going to be trying to get a good run here and see what they can do at worn out mile and a halves. Like Marin and Nichols, this is going to be a pretty good indicator of who might have the leg up when we get to Atlanta, if those 2 make it, of course. Nothing's a guarantee, as we've seen. John Hall as well. He came up 1 position short last season at this track to teammate Jake Matheson. And then those guys kind of in the middle, kind of in no man's land as far as being above the cut line by a decent bit, but not really dominating the season. Michael Venable, Matthew Bappy, Reese Schaefer, Seth Knoll, those guys right in the middle of the top 12. No wins so far, but they've all had pretty solid seasons, but just can't break through. Kind of shows how dominant Sebastian Marin has been and how fast Nichols, Hall, Matheson have all been to get those victories, because we know the 95, 89, the 1, they're pretty capable of it. Even Travis Beckner, 10th in points, he's very capable of winning in this series. Just hasn't happened yet.
Ricky Springer up to 2nd here in the warm-up periods. That's something to keep an eye on. He's one of those drivers on the outside looking in. And before we get too much deeper into the broadcast, let's kind of give you a look at who is giving us onboard tonight. Eric Wineland has given us a look inside his cockpit. So is Bryce Senesac. As always, Daniel Day giving us a look inside his rig as well. There's Daniel giving us the peace sign. Travis Beckner, who had to sit out last night, is back giving us a show on board here this evening. And Jake Matheson is getting it set up. John Hall and Ricky Springer are the drivers that are giving us looks inside their show. There's Ricky. I don't know if that's a glass of water or something to knock the edge off there. It looks like water, but
If that's something to knock the edge off, he's going to need a hospital.
It's a tall pour, whatever it is, but
Yeah.
got the beard turned up. Checkered flag here on the warm-up period, and we're about ready to go racing here, round 10 of the Area Truck Series. Connor, tell me about this race, 120 laps. What's our fuel situation look like? Last night we had a couple of pit stops, one prompted by a yellow, the second prompted just by splitting that gap to the end. About an hour of worth of racing, 120 laps. Are you shooting for a one-stop, or do you have to do 2?
I think you're going to have to do 2. You couldn't get there with one stop last night. Obviously, it was 20 laps longer, and you were probably 8-10 laps short. I don't think you can make it 60 laps on the tank. We'll see once we get in here, see what the fuel mileage is looking like, but it's a lot of full throttle action. It's kind of like last night, maybe a little more throttle even. We'll see what the off-throttle time's looking like, but you're not going to be using too much brake, but you're not going to be off-throttle either. It's, obviously it's kind of like momentum racing at a track like this with the trucks. Not like Vegas, what we've seen in years past, but it's going to be similar to that. But once we get maybe 20 laps, 25 laps on the tires, we should see some drivers spread out a little bit, see different lanes being used. But I think you're going to be using a decent amount of fuel. I'm not sure if you're going to make it to lap 60. So you're probably going to be aiming for about lap 40 if you want to split it evenly. But we saw the undercut was pretty valuable last night, so we might see drivers aim for maybe lap 36, 37, something like that.
What about tire wear? Last night it was a little bit of a topic of discussion and ended up probably winning the winner of the race. So what's your thoughts? Is it going to be worse this tonight and Thursday like it has been all season, or it's kind of similar story?
I think it's going to be up there somewhere. I think we're at least going to see a second to fall off, but that might get better as the race goes on because we're set in the late afternoon, so it's not a hot and slick track like we saw at Dover in the Pro Series a month or so back. That track temp's already down to 84 degrees. It's only going to keep coming down until it's pretty dark and we don't have a lot of daylight left. So I think you're going to see that fall off a little bit high at the beginning. So I would say near the end of the run, that undercut might be very valuable on the final pit stop just to get that track position when the fall off isn't as huge. But I think we'll see a second to fall off here at least.
Central Mobile Homes starting lineup. Let's roll through it. Kicking things off on the front row is Jake Nichols in the 73, hot off his first victory in the series, or in the season, I should say. David Weishart starts second in that number 33.
First one of the series as well, so it goes both ways. Jake Matheson won the title with a victory here last season. He starts third. Sebastian Marin, 10 points off the series point lead of Nichols, but he's 10 points back, but he has 4 wins. He starts fourth.
Connor Urashak rolls off 5th place in the number 12. Mason Kane starts 6th in the number 31.
7th position goes to the 0-3 of John Hall, who has a win this season, and then Seth Knoll without a win this season, but pretty comfortable to the cut line. He starts alongside.
And starting in 9th place, it's the number 17 of Ed Scherer Jr. Matthew Batby in the number 89 rolls off in 10th place.
Scherer will have a drive through to serve here, so he will go to the rear. Sean Peachin will not. He starts in the 11th position. Danny Ware in the 98, starting 12th.
13th place is Joshua Balliet in the number 7. Ricky Springer in the 51 starts 14th.
15th position, also in the top 12 picture right now, is Reese Schaefer in the 07. Michael Venable without a win, but always fast, but he starts back in 16th.
JT Poole, 17th place in the number 26 on the outside looking into the championship picture. And Daniel Day starts 18th in the 61.
19th position, Jonathan Evans, 23rd in points, but only 9 points back at that top 20 cut line. We'll be seeing where he runs tonight. Pacey Wygen at 00. He's had some success at mile and a halves. He starts 20th.
21st place, Brad Slaughter Jr. in the number 81, and Justin Anasogak starts 22nd in the 88.
23rd position, the 09 of Bryce Senesac, who had a solid run last night. Gary Waterworth in the 24th position, the number 2 truck.
And Cameron Hearn starts 25th in the number 67. He'll start up alongside the 13 truck of Drew Jua.
And then alongside, well, in behind them, Patrick Moose is pretty far back in the points, but he has ran better than what his points position is. He'll be looking for a win this next month or so. He starts 27th tonight alongside Ryan Swan, who qualified 28th with an EOL.
Travis Beckner starts 29th in the number 28 machine, and Garrett Grant starts 30th in the number 5.
31st position goes to the 62 of Tyler Hallman, another Silverado. They're pretty common in this series. Then 32nd place, Julian Valadez.
33rd place, Rafe Slate in the number 8. Jeremy Brown, 34th in the number 87. And I think, well, Slate's going to have to go to the tail of the field. Brown will keep his starting spot.
Devin Johnson will qualify maybe a little further up than where he did. He'll start 35th. Case Lakatos, who's right in the playoff picture, came in 6 points back tonight, but a poor starting position in 36th.
And 37th place will be Ben Pierce in the number 65. Joe Tardif starts in 38th in the number 43.
39th place will be the 21 of Eric Wineland, and Jeremy Miller with one of those EOLs will start back in 40th. All these drivers, I don't believe, put times down.
No, they didn't, and it is a 42 truck field here tonight. Seiden Feiden at the tail. It is one of the biggest grids we've seen in recent weeks. It is round 10 of the Area Truck Series season, and it's about time to go racing. 3 rounds remain in the regular season. Playoff time is starting soon. There's so much on the line, and Jake Nichols finished first last week, starts first this week. Green flag, and we're racing in Joliet, Illinois at Chicagoland.
Didn't have much time to pick anyone, but I was...
Oh, the 12 is on the apron already. He's sliding on the apron. He's going to gather it up, but everybody scatters, and there goes the qualifying position that he had worked so hard for.
Well, I was going to pick him, but I'm still going to pick Yaroshak, but that was kind of interesting how that happened. That's not off limits. You can change lanes before the line. He did that. Nichols blocked it, and Yaroshak kind of got squeezed on the bottom there. Oh, Peachin's around.
And right in the middle of the field, this might pack up even more. Caution is out. Cars scatter, but somehow, I think we dodged it.
That is unheard of. Absolutely unheard of that everyone avoided Peachin there. That is very, very fortunate for a lot of drivers. I'm still picking Yaroshak, by the way.
Peachin just walked up on the hill all on his own right ahead of Springer, and he might have gathered it up.
Hallman. Oh, no, that was Danny Ware.
Oh.
360 got it back going. That was, I think, Danny Ware that got on the brakes. Yeah, Springer couldn't do much there. 69 just got loose. You saw the rear end lift up there. JT Poole did a great job as well. Bunch of Ern went through the grass. That is very impressive.
Yeah, honestly, I think he might have saved it if it wasn't for the 51, but there's nothing that Springer could have done to get out of the way. Smoke still clearing out of turn 4. First caution at the end of lap number 1. So Here's where things stand. Weishart has the lead over Jake Nichols, then Marin, Matheson, Knoll, and already some drivers hitting pit lane. Is surprising or no?
A little bit. I don't think you're going to be able to make a fuel window work from here, but if you think you're going to fall back and not confident about your race pace, then maybe get back in line and try to learn from some others. I think Pacey Wygen was the first one to come down. This does save Edward Scheer with that drive-through, so he has nothing to worry about. Well, he might have to still serve a drive-through. We'll see how they roll that, because I don't think he got a shot to serve his drive-through. But pretty much everyone coming out of pit lane. I did not see the 69 car come down, even though he spun.
I mean, would you?
It'd be tough, but those tires are not going to feel very good. I can guarantee you. I can confirm Scheer did not serve his drive-through yet, so we'll see if that has to. We'll see if it just turns into EOL or he still has to serve it. I don't think they've ever ran in that situation before.
So laps clicking away. Pretty short yellows here at Chicagoland, thankfully, so we'll get racked up and try this again.
Be an interesting start to watch back once we probably get the one to go here. That was a little interesting what happened in turn one. That could have been a lot more drivers, as we did get confirmation. Edward Scheer still does have to serve that drive-through.
Well, got to serve it under green, right? And he really wasn't really going to do that because the yellow had come out. The one to green, going to rack him up, stack him up. This time Weishart will get the lane choice. He'll pick the bottom. Nichols will be up top, right ahead of the 52 of Jake Matheson on the outside, and then on the inside it's Sebastian Marin in the 32 that will start there. Have a look at the track conditions. Relatively cool racetrack and sort of late in the day, so I don't anticipate that getting higher.
Yeah, should get lower. The track should get more rubber in it. You should see less fall off and a lot more grip as this race goes on. That's kind of what happened last night, and that's kind of what made it very packed up about 10th or 11th on back when they had that final yellow. But that was an interesting start. I don't know if they stacked up or what, but you saw Jiroszak go to the apron and kind of ended up not having room to come up because Jake Matheson had nowhere to go himself because he had someone on his outside. And through all that, we weren't even looking at the battle for the lead as some more drivers stopped off for fuel. The 33 just had a nose in front of Nichols, and Marin was going 3 wide middle when that yellow came out, so we'll see how hectic it gets this time.
Well, let's try it again. And now this race, which was 120 laps, is now 116. 5 laps in, here we go. Green flag back in the air at Chicagoland. Weishart gets a nice restart. And looks like that's Batby on the bottom there in the 89, trying to make ground on the inside of the Seth Knoll machine. That was dicey, but he sticks the truck down there and makes it fit.
I think that people know that can work now. We didn't really see anyone doing that last night, but I think more people are knowing that that's illegal, so you're going to see more drivers taking advantage of that. Knoll had no choice but to give room as Weishart got the lead, and Marin's already the second.
3 wide. A couple of places in the field, just worry until the tires kind of get conditioned, you get settled in. This is going to be really dicey here as Sebastian Marin is going to charge up alongside David Weishart, but not enough overlap to look for the lead.
As he's going to go back to the bottom following the 33's wake there. You really wouldn't do that last night, but the dirty air maybe not as horrible, and the draft is still pretty valuable in these trucks as Nichols is clear of Matheson from a 3rd position. Knoll and Bappy are still side by side as it's mostly single file, at least somewhat single file at the front, but still a lot of scrambling in the background with a lot of lanes already being used. Jiroszak way to the top side trying to gain ground back.
Don Hall trying to make up some positions there on driver's right down the front straightaway. He was high up in 3 and 4. Connor, all racetracks have a little bit of asynchrony to them. They're not necessarily perfectly the same on one half or the other. Which is easier to run the top, 1 and 2 or 3 and 4?
1 and 2. The bumps at 3 and 4 make it tough to run the wall, but you can run the wall in 1 and 2, really no problem, make up some ground. You can really only go as high as the middle, I would think, and make some ground up. We'll see drivers still run the top side 3 and 4, but usually 1 and 2 is where you want to do that. You'll be a little lower in 3 and 4 if you have your choice of line, but sometimes you don't get that choice. Like Seth Knoll has to kind of run the high side as he battles John Hall. He's not going to go too high, really sideways in the middle of the racetrack a little bit. Balliet was all cool, though, trying to get around the outside of Danny Ware, and it's going to still be hard to pass because that momentum's still on the high side, so it's not as simple as getting under someone and driving past them. You're going to have to work for it just like last night, but just a little bit different.
And Sherrod Jr. has served his drive through. A little bobble there from JT Poole. Stack up out of turn 4.
Oh, man.
Everybody scatters again. 4 wide, 5 wide here at Chicago.
Yeah, that did not work. Poole was not happy about it over the radio, and they somehow avoided calamity for now, but you can't get away with that too many times, as pretty much 12th on forward is through from that, but it's still a scramble behind Venable and Poole, who are side by side.
I can't believe that. Here's for the lead, Marin powering through on Weishart. He takes the lead away out of turn 4.
We'll see if Weishart even wants to battle this at all, but that battle at the back is still really crazy. This is a madhouse.
I don't see wide. We're 3 wide in a bunch of places, aren't we? The 0-7, Arie Schaefer's in the middle of it. This is a bad place to be if you're just trying to click off laps.
Jake Nichols got the second, so Weishart let him through as well. So 33 might be riding a little bit, as still 3x3, 2 rows deep. Day, Schaefer, Moose, then looked to be Garrett Grant, and we got someone in the wall, but they kept it straight. I think it was Rafe Slate, but no damage done, as these guys are still all over each other. They're 4 wide.
They're not being shy about the racing room tonight. That's not going to play into turn 1. That math just doesn't work. But every time you come out of turn 4, you might be 3 wide, you might be 4 wide, but everyone tightens up because of the washout of the turn. So really condensed racing. Watch Devin Johnson in that 90 pull up alongside Beckner, bottom right of the screen.
Oh, he's in a wall.
And yeah, it's going to go backwards quick.
Same thing Rafe Slate did. Just not enough room. That safer barrier kind of pops out at you, but same thing as the 8 truck, no damage done. As Patrick Moose, that 4 wide look in the 1 cost him a lot of positions there. He's trying to make up a lot of positions in a short amount of time. That's not the way to do it unless you have that big of a run. You can't make that work. You not go into the corners here 4 wide and come out of it alive.
Well, 12 laps in, things are starting to gain a semblance of control, aren't they? At least out front they are. Front 10 or 12 or so are single filed out. There's Gary Waterworth kind of picking the center lane with, that's the 0-7 on his inside. That he is cleared now.
So make it the top 17 single file, but I think Waterworth and Senesac are going to have a look at the 61 of Daniel Day, as Garrett Grant, who seems to understand this track, is trying to move up through the field. He already has. He's up to about 18th position. He started 30th. Side by side with a lead at the front.
Indeed they are. Matt Marin goes up the racetrack, and Nichols had a look, but Weishart is going to take this opportunity to try to get to the quarter panel and side draft by him. And up ahead, there's Ed Scherer Jr., who's about to go a lap down, I think, to these drivers. Marin takes the lead for now, 0.2 of a second advantage, but that is not a lot.
That's the issue of trying to make a pass. If you don't complete that pass, the driver behind you is going to have a run. Nichols had a run last time into turn 3, went for the inside. Marin held him off. He had no run out of 4, and that's what let Weishart get back by. But 73 is going to re-clear for that second position, as John Hall got a huge run off the high side. So we'll see if 3 and 4 on the high side comes in a little bit more. He got a big run on Matheson to get that 4th position.
33 just turned off the wall all the way to the bottom of the racetrack to carry some speed and get back by Jake Nichols. But he's got John Hall charging up behind him. There's Jake Matheson in the 52, who's graced us with his presence tonight on the onboard camera as well, so we get to see him at work. And he has got his hands full with Seth Knoll right behind him.
And that's going to upset the truck a lot when someone's right on the bumper of your truck through the corner. That's going to be tough to handle through the center on the exit, as Hall's going to get to the right rear of Weishart. And Weishart did not protect. That's where we kind of compare that entry to Kansas and Vegas. You'll see drivers walk into the wall at that point of a track later in the race, but I don't think Weishart's willing to risk it right now, so John Hall's going to go right around for that 3rd position, and that might change the way Jake Nichols races the 32. He's still trying to get clean air on the nose. He's in fact going to dirty the nose of the 03, but Hall still got a run on the outside.
This is similar to last night in that you have to commit everywhere in such a big way, and gains are so hard to come by, but losing position seems so easy. Look at John Hall. Where did he come from? To the bottom. He'll pick up 1 spot and go for 2. I just don't think he's going to have the run on exit, and Nichols is going to motor back by him.
That's what's going to make it tough, and now what Marin's going to do is try to work the draft a little bit, just going to completely try to work the lanes, keep them side by side best he can.
Out of turn 4. Door to door for second place, Ford versus Chevrolet. And by the way, Seth Knoll slammed the door on Ricky Springer. That's another one of the trouble spots here at Chicagoland, is just where the safer barrier starts. We see a lot of drivers here and at Kansas just flat out run into that thing because it just pokes out so dramatically.
And that's what I was talking about blocking on entry. That's exactly what the one had to do. Had to protect pretty harshly with the 51, and now the 51's going to try to have to regroup and get back in line as single files mostly at the front, but it's still anything but calm, I would say, as you got some drivers run the apron, some won't run the apron. Still battling through the field. Daniel Ware got by Joshua Balliet that lap. I did see Miller and Evans had contact a few laps ago, and they're still battling back in the 26th position as Evans hasn't really been able to make up much ground. Sean Peachin's been able to at least keep some of his ground that he had even after the spin. He's 22nd, just got passed by Michael Venable in the 95.
Nichols tries the bottom here. Didn't reel in Marin all that much as Knoll works over Weishart, and he wasn't able to do it. Here comes Springer in this 51 truck. As we looked at the playoff grid, Ricky Springer's 20th, 35 back. If he wants to make the playoffs, he's got to make big moves now, and this is big moves tonight. Up 7 spots, making 8 now as he works around the outside of Knoll.
Yeah, when you're that far back in points with 3 to go, really one bad race puts you must win, so even all top 5s might be not enough to overcome. So he's really got to have some good runs and have some things go his way, try to get to the front, try to win races. Up to 6th now, started a little bit further back in 14th, and he's moved up for the time being. 12 of Euroshack and the 31 of Kane. Ooh, Kane's in the wall in 1 and 2, excuse me. They were side by side, but just overstepped a little bit, which is very easy to do.
And now JT Poole will take advantage of that. He'll go to 10th. Slots down the inside. Putting the stack up there in the middle groove with Brad Slaughter Jr. and Danny Ware. And Joshua Balliet in that 7 truck. It's purple and white. He has gone nowhere since the drop of his green flag. And it seems like mid-pack, mobility can be hard to find with so much air being blocked off.
It really is. It seemed like last night we were really just trying to find the clean air after the long run began. Really at the beginning of a run, you were just going to the faster line or the better saving line, which was the bottom. But through the run, if you're behind someone, you just got to find clean air and hope it works out for you regardless of what you want for the tires. That's what Danny Ware's trying to do. He just went to the middle of between Slaughter and JT Poole. Didn't get there, but put enough clean air on the nose to maybe have a better ride through the corner, as that's not going to help him through this corner to keep Joshua Balliet behind. He's just kind of going to be stuck in this wake. You don't really want to be in the middle, not a lot of grip in there at really any track, but if you need to pinch someone down like Slaughter's trying to, you can. So he got sideways and 26 shut the door there.
Balliet pull up to the 81, didn't give him a shove though, can't push the pusher, as Matt Malone would say, and 98 of Danny Ware to the bottom, everyone else in this group up to the high side.
Hey, what I'm seeing so many drivers 23 laps in, or really 20 laps in this run, starting to saw on the wheel. Oh, crash, turn number 4. I think Valadez might be in there. No, not Valadez. It is Ben Pierce and Case Lacodison. There is no yellow yet.
No, we will probably get one. No, well, there it goes.
That took way too long.
Long time for sure. Crash at lap 24. And let us find out what has triggered it. I saw Hallman. So Hallman checks up here mid-corner.
Loose. There you go. And just got hit. Ooh, Rafe Slate gets some damage. That's where Lakatos gets his damage. And then Joe Tardif comes in late, just having to swerve to avoid the 65. Yeah, it looked like Hallman got loose, and Pierce just couldn't stop in time.
Yeah, he was just fully out of control, and Pierce didn't really leave him quite enough space to gather it up, but we right on board with Pierce. It'll be less obvious. You can't really see the driver's hands ahead of you. You can only really read the body language of the truck, and it looks a lot more dramatic in the car than outside of it.
Hallman actually ends up saving that truck somehow.
All right, what do you think, tires?
Oh yeah, I think you have to take some here. You got a few extra sets. You should have 4 extra sets, so you're definitely taking a set here. And this should put us pretty close to one-stop range. I'm not sure if we're going to be there, but it's going to be tight.
I would think with, what are we at, 25, so that's 95 divided by 2 is 40, nope, yeah, 47-ish. I think you could do that. We'll see. And this, you know who this really saves is Ed Scherer Jr. He was going to go a lap down pretty shortly. He will get to catch back up. It'll keep everybody on the lead lap, and means we'll only have one more lap of yellow after this. All 42 trucks are still running, and all with fairly minimal damage, although I imagine that the 65 and the 50 will probably spend some more time on pit lane repairing their damages.
Almost certainly will. Eric Weiland will pick next time by. He didn't hit his stall there. Race off a pit road.
Wow,
was
Marin.
close. I think Marin got him.
Yeah, he
but it was
did.
tight.
Cottis didn't get any service that time. He just rolled through. I would think that he would want service.
Yeah, I think he was trying to get a lap ahead. He didn't even come out first off the pit lane anyways. But the order did not change much for the drivers who were at the front. Marin, Nichols, then Matheson. Weishart, who was starting to struggle, he gets to fourth, then Hall. Springer, Knoll, Euroshak, Bappy, Poole, who should be the top 10 once we get the one to go.
So Licata stays down to the left. Eric Wineland is also going to peel off and get his service. And he did not yet lead a lap, but he should this time through.
No, he's got an early
not.
stall.
Ooh, well, no. In that case, Marin will take back over. And we'll get the one to green.
And it's kind of interesting of Licata's to do that. I wonder how much damage he has if he didn't come down to repair it the last time, as Hallman had some damage to repair. He just got off of pit lane, but this will be a little bit more of an interesting restart here because we know that track position's still very important like last night, and that pass for the lead is hard to get completed as the 73 of Nichols showed us. So the jump on the initial start where Nichols lost out the Weishart, kind of important here because it let Sebastian Marin get the jump on the initial restart behind the 33. That's what got him in front of the 73. So Jake Matheson could be the one getting an advantage here.
Licata is going to roll, but you know you still got to catch up. So he's going to be back a ways. So you do wonder why he didn't get service the first time. Still on pit lane, he's going to be down a long ways. So field is doubled up. Sebastian Marin and Jake Nichols are your leaders. We've got about, what are we looking at, 90 laps to go?
93-ish.
Yeah. Pace truck, left-hand turn onto pit lane. Marin in command as he is almost in the points. We go back racing.
Once again, that driver in third is going to get a big jump. Nichols couldn't go. Matheson's going to get second here. John Hall could get third, but if he doesn't clear that 73 before the exit 2, I don't think it's going to happen.
Oh, big wiggle. The 51's out of control. Way up the hill goes Ricky Springer.
I think he got a bump from Euroshak. That's kind of what happens on these stacked up restarts when it's almost like a super speedway on a restart. That can easily happen as Euroshak immediately to the top side. Marin continues to lead.
7's out of control. It's going to cause a stack up on the bottom there with the 95 available. And there we go, though. Just big crash out of turn 4.
Grant Senesac's in it. 90 of Devin Johnson got some damage. I think the driver in the wall is Drew Jua.
Yeah, they were just so packed up here. So long to go. Racing really hard on these restarts, yeah. Well, they can't do this all night because they will never make it to the end.
And you saw it too. Balliet has a wiggle off the apron. The 95 wiggled, 13 wiggled, and it's Jua and Grant who come together. Kind of calls that just a stack up. Swan got a big hit there too. He was close already. I'll help it out more here.
You saw it developing, just the little wiggles. And it just
always developing when you're 3 wide.
Man.
Honestly, still shocking it wasn't as big as I thought it was. It might have only been about 5 trucks. But that's 2 out of turn number 4.
Yeah, usually turn 2 is the trouble spot, but I think because,
actually 3.
Yeah. I think it's because of the restarts in particular and how bunched up everybody is. You're not really up to speed yet out of turn 2, but you are out of turn 4.
And it's kind of harder as Ricky Springer has gotten upset, maybe. Well, he just came down to pit, maybe go to the rear and maybe get fuel. As Ben Pierce gets to lucky dog.
We'll keep everybody on the lead lap. Big break for Casey Licata, assuming that he was behind all that, which I think he was, so he'll be able to continue to repair his truck.
I got distracted by Springer's wheel, but talking about 3 and 4, it's not really even. Turns 1 and 2, the white line on the bottom, it's pretty even. You can wrap it with ease. But 3 and 4, it's not very even. It kind of juts out at certain points of the middle of the corner and kind of makes it tough to really read where you're supposed to be on the track. So that's why you really see everyone hit the apron more there than you do anywhere else on this racetrack. Well, besides the tri-oval, of course. But you can kind of see where it juts out, right where the Jeremy Brown machine just went by. You can easily hit the apron, and then you're just holding on for dear life. It's very tough to get that corner right when you're around 3-4 wide racing on a restart.
If you believe it, we're 1/4 of the way through this race already. Jake Nichols on the bottom of the racetrack. So the aggression on the restarts, Connor, let's talk about that, because last night we saw, you know, we only got one real restart, but the cars, we saw some big scary moments and drivers sliding and things, but it seems like tonight the genesis of all these incidents is just the tiniest little wiggles. So, you know, if you're following another truck, is it a good idea just to leave a little extra space so that they have time to gather it up?
I would think so, because they're gonna get sideways whether on old tires or fresh tires if someone's all over the back bumper, takes air off the spoiler. So whether they hit the apron or not, they're going to be sliding a little bit, and it's kind of different from what we saw on Monday night. There's still enough off-throttle time and a lot more dirty air to the point where you kind of get that gap naturally, and when you're right behind someone in an next-gen car, they don't get loose, you get tight. But it's different in the trucks and the Xfinity Series cars, so I think you should give room, but these restarts are so rough. And a lot of drivers are just trying to get everything they can on every restart. I'm not sure if you're going to see much of that give and take at any point in this race. We should soon, or else it's going to keep going like this, but it's going to be tough.
Yeah, I think it's just, this is one of those tracks where it's like if you can get 10, 15 laps in to spread the field out, go a long, long way. 1 to green this time. The pace truck will shut the lights off. And while we've got a moment here before we get back to the restart, our replay sponsor, which we've already gotten a workout with tonight, is Hendry County Motorsports Park. They just had racing on September 14th, which was last weekend, with UMP open wheel modified, street stocks, factory stocks, and more. Tickets are $15 for adults, with discounted prices for seniors, teens, and kids ages 5 and under are free. You can come see racing at the southernmost dirt track in America, located in Clewiston, Florida, off US Highway 27. Visit henryracing.com for more information. Hendry County Motorsports Park. And Elite Entertainment. Add some life to the party this summer with Elite Entertainment. Located in Boiling Springs, South Carolina, Elite Entertainment provides high-quality band production to entertain at any location, including karaoke, singo, and more. Visit Linktree/Elite Entertainment LLC for the contact information for Elite Entertainment. Pace truck is got the lights off, and the field is doubled up behind Sebastian Marin and Jake Matheson. And just outside of the Windy City, we're back underway again at Chicagoland.
Weishart did not go on that start. It's going to let Nichols get to the bottom, try to take a position from Matheson. Is a little more spread out at the back. For whatever reason there, is Hall's going to get the second. Nichols trying to follow, won't be able to.
A little bit of 3 wide there in the back. The rockets off into turn 3. Marin leads. Seth Knoll is in the middle again. That's been his happy spot today. You look at Urashak trying to charge up to the outside. Door slammed shut. He has nowhere to go.
Urashak on the restarts keeps going to that way high line. I don't think on fresh tires it's where you want to be. I think it only takes maybe 15 laps and he'll be up there and it will work in 3 and 4 from what we've seen from John Hall. But on the initial starts, you got to be as low as you can as Knoll gets the door shut on him and gets a big shove to the 52 of Madison.
Minus turn on that outside lane. The front 3 now have cleared the bottom lane of Jake Nichols. John Hall up to second place. Now the 12 of Urashak looks a little higher.
Oh.
Wiggle from one of those trucks. I think that was the 81 of Brad Slaughter Jr. There's a spin, I thought. Was there smoke? Am I crazy? I'm crazy.
I could not tell. I didn't see anyone spin. Maybe it was a lag, but I think the car that got
the 26
sideways
is sideways, out of control. JT Poole out of turn 2.
Gary Waterworth, Jonathan Evans is in that one. Huge hit. I think that might have been Peachin. Huge hit to the back of the 26.
He just lost control there, is what it looked like.
He got into the back of Kane out of 4. And yeah, a lot of damage to the rear of that 26.
As far as I could tell, It just snaps on him.
Yeah, look like he got loose. Whoa! 2 got air there, and Jonathan Evans got pretty good damage out of that, as well as the 69 truck. Yeah, right there. Big air there. The 9 just kind of bulldozes through, and then right here it lifts the right side of Waterworth off the ground. We've seen that a few times this year.
Yeah, it wanted to go over, but it wouldn't. And I really like this. I mean, I know it's made this truck a little harder to drive, but I really like the realism that this aerodynamic model gives. Oof. Yeah, that 26 just got pounded there by Sean Peachin.
Whoa! Tricky Springer just going to the grass to avoid it.
Here's what Peachin saw.
Slide spinning on the brakes.
Oh,
but
he couldn't even see him until the last second. I mean, I look at that again. I didn't see him. There's too much smoke.
Yeah, this is from the right side. Don't know how much he sees from the left side, but when he hit the brakes, it didn't go left. It just kind of shot him up the track, and at that point, there's not much he could do.
So 4th caution of the night, lap 37, and he's going to have a lot of damage repair to do. That truck is seen better. That whole right front is not
yeah,
doing the same lap time as the rest of it, to put it lightly.
He'll be done for a while. JT Poole probably have some damage to fix. He won't be done, but he'll be in a tough spot. We already documented where he is in points. He came in 27 below, and this is pretty much going to put a must-win the next 2 weeks.
Tough break for a couple drivers that needed good nights. Sebastian Marin leads this race, though, and he's racking up the laps led just by pacing around. And if you look at the strength of the season he has had, 4 wins on the season, and his worst finish was a 25th back at Daytona. You can forgive that. And then it was an 18th at Pocono. And then other than that, it was a 10th at North Wilkesboro. Everything else was a win or a second. So he has just had a phenomenal year. And then John Hall, who's sitting right behind him now, is 3rd in the championship standings. And his story is sort of similar. He had a 37th at Daytona, 35th at Pocono. And then other than that, it was a 17th, and then everything else was a top 5.
And Sebastian Marin still hasn't won at a track similar from any other win. He got his first one at Charlotte, then the mile at Dover, then Sonoma on the road course, and then he won at Darlington, which is kind of its own sort of track. And if he could win tonight, it'll at least be similar to Charlotte in the fact that it's a 1.5 miles, but still pretty different 1.5 miles at that. But it just shows, we talked about all season long, his strength at different racetracks is what's going to keep him a title contender. And what's going to keep him a win contender tonight is keeping this lead on the restarts, which isn't really that difficult. At least it hasn't seemed that difficult. He's only had maybe a handful of challenges from the 73.
We saw last night that a couple of times the driver on the outside just didn't go, and I'm not sure if it's just the way the track is configured or the way the restart zone is, but it's been hard to match the leader on the front row, and it's been a big advantage to be that first driver to the jump.
It's just really important to have teammates up there as well. There's not much team play going on right now. You got Hall and Matheson up there, but they can't work together with Marin being race leader. And then you got Nolan Nichols. They can't help each other either.
See how things pan out. Pace truck pulls off. Back underway again. And Marin, another phenomenal restart, pulls away. And Matheson follows through on the run down to turn 1.
He's clear of the 0-3 even before turn 1. Nichols won't be able to do the same, as John Hall have a huge shove from the 1 and 12 out of turn number 2. That bottom line just really at a disadvantage when we keep getting restarts like this, as Matheson's going to dive to the inside of a 32 for the race lead. Made a big move, kind of caught Marin by surprise there, but you can see those bumps on the bottom. He's not really able to stay down there. He's trying to side draft that left rear, but Marin's going to try.
Look out!
They did.
Wow, what a block from the 32. Pulled down the racetrack. Matheson followed, and he's going to throw it down into turn 1. No hesitation from either of these two.
Well, the 52 knew that was probably his best chance to get the pass done, unless we get a long run crash at the back. Someone sliding out of turn number 2, but they kept it straight. Looked like a black truck.
Rafe Slate, he's got it. He's got it woed up. Nice work there.
A lot of right front damage. He had that from earlier, but the 52 knew that was his only opportunity unless we get a long run, so he figured he would take a shot, but now it's going to cost him, because there goes John Hall, Seth Knoll to the outside, and even more drivers lined up above him.
Wow, the 32 and 03. Great battle there on the high side. And double wide for about 6th on back. This is great racing here on this restart.
Ooh, big block. Marin was kind of trying to bait John Hall into going to the inside, but Hall almost got him and almost forced him to the inside, and Marin does not want to give up the right rear when someone gets to him. Got to make him go the short way around, but it's the harder way around on the bottom, trying to make a pass.
John Hall right on that white line. We'll look at Seth Knoll creeping into this picture. Started in 8th place. He was right in the thick of it at the first opening stint. Look at the commitment.
Wow.
Marin just turns it. He trusts that John Hall isn't going to throw it down there. And Seth giving up time on entry, but he's going to gain it all back here. Turns down the racetrack. And look at the run that he builds out of turn 4. Huge run.
And Marin shoved it into 3, but he gave up on exit, so it's going to let the 0-3 get back to the inside. But that's kind of what Seth Knoll wants, because he could probably get the second here if Hall doesn't complete this pass. But that's the furthest up we've seen anyone on the inside for the lead today. Strayer had a slide, but he kept it straight. Seth Knoll's just trying to find a place to go.
Oh, he might think 3 for a second. Dead even. Ford and Chevrolet battling here in Joliet out of turn 4. Hall edges ahead, and he will lead this lap, but just.
And that kind of hurt Marin a little bit. He had to defend from the 1 a little bit. He's going to try this 3 wide move up the middle. That's going to be tight to make work. That's going to hurt John Hall on corner exit more than Marin. That should get Marin the lead back.
They were just overlapped, and Marin out front again, turning off the wall, down 7 lanes across the track. There's Yurashak, Nichols, Matheson in behind, trying to find purchase and any ground they can have. Fighting really hard here. We're past the 1/3 mark of this race, about 15 laps from halfway. The fuel numbers are a lot different than when we started this race, so strategy's up in the air as well. Everyone's leaving it all out there on the racetrack.
Yeah, I think you should be able to one-stop from here with all the yellows we've had. Maybe some drivers topped off on lap 38, so maybe you'd go to lap 80, which is kind of what it would have been if it was a 2-stop anyways, as Knoll is lighting up the rear bumper, getting Marin loosened up off the corner, giving him all he can handle, but Marin drives off the corner, gets some ground between him and the 1 as here comes Yurashak with a 3rd position on John Hall. Hall's trying to chase him up the racetrack, couldn't do it.
Amazing how quickly you go from 0 to 0. John Hall battling for the lead, stole a lap lead, and now he's just trying to stay inside the top 5 because here comes Jake Nichols in the 73, powering on the outside down the backstretch, and he will slot in line in 5th now, will John Hall.
And looks like Knoll's going to try to get to the right rear. They might have made contact there. Knoll lost the nose a little bit. It's going to give up some time. Let Yurashak get a big run to the bumper of himself for that 2nd position, but he couldn't do anything with the 1, so that gives Marin even more breathing room here.
Behind him, Jake Matheson and John Hall. That's for 6th, 5th. Matthew Batby following through, but we are not done here up in 2nd place because that 12 car is charging hard. He had a race, I think it was back at Texas, taken away, leading by a mile, and the internet dropped out on him. He would like to earn one back.
Ooh, that's going to be tight. They made contact in the corner there. He and Knoll have had some disagreements on track this season, but I think that was neck code a little bit there. As you can think of 2 races, Yurashak was dominant at Dover for a while there until a restart violation bit him as he's going to slide up right in front of the 1 of Knoll. He's going to get sideways out of the corner, and the 1 cut him a break.
That was spicy and dicey. That's all I can say about that. Very different lanes between 1st and 3rd, top and bottom there.
It seemed like he had 2 halves or 2 different lines there. He saw some drivers run high, the 1 ran low, but it seemed like the high line's coming in because Yurashak got a big run while the 1 kind of stuttered out of the corner, let Nichols get back to the 3rd position. So the 1, he was trying to heat up Marin. I think that dirty air, a lot of it on the nose, might have hurt his front tires. He's got to settle back in and maybe go for another run later in this tire run.
Nichols way up on the outside, ripping the Larson line in 3 and 4. Look at the, I mean, it's just amazing how much speed you gain on the outside. Turns down to the bottom, right against that yellow line. But now he's got the inside for 1 and 2.
And he's going to get pinched here. Yurashak, I think if Yurashak was on his own, he'd probably go to the way high line, but he's going to pinch Nichols off and make that 73 truck really tight and going to have to drop back in line, maybe try that again. But Yurashak already knows that move, so Yurashak could defend that if he wants, which he kind of did, but he's just really trying to find a different line himself to get around Marin. As Marin went back to the bottom, Yurashak tried to get a big run, he didn't get as big of a run, but that draft is going to pull him right to the 32's bumper on corner entry.
50 laps down, 70 to go.
He got back to the inside, just couldn't do anything as that one truck. The rest of that top 10's kind of coming back up towards this battle for fourth. Seth Knoll, Matheson, Bappy, they're all bumper to bumper to the bottom into turn number 3 as Bappy is all over Jake Matheson, but not getting him loosened up quite enough. But watch that run from the top side from John Hall.
Oh, this is, whoa, that they're just throwing Hail Marys now. The 52 to the bottom of the racetrack. And then Bappy would like to take advantage of this by just driving around both of them. Not close enough to get to the outside of the 52, but he'll give him a shot down the backstretch.
That was another sort of block into one by the one of Knoll, as I think Matheson and a few others behind the one is faster, but he's just trying to keep that track position. So important to at least have some of it before you get the potential green flag pit stops, whenever that is. But I think Knoll just kind of doesn't have much front tire left already, so that's going to be worrying if he has to go even longer in this run.
Side by side for second place. Again, Urashak and Nichols, that 12 truck just trying to cling on. And then look at Matheson in the 52 pulling north of the one. Drag race down the backstretch. And Ford versus Chevrolet in the outside lane, and Bappy watching on in the red and black truck.
I think Matheson's going to try to slide up in front of the one. As a matter of fact, kind of looked like Knoll tried to cross him over a little bit, maybe just giving up the spot. I think he knows he is a tiny bit slower as they both go to the apron. Bappy's just trying to pick up anything he can, but not enough of a run on either driver. As those top 3 starting to separate from that battle for fourth, but we'll see if Jake Matheson can get back up to the bumper of the 73s. It's still pretty packed up fourth on back. Not much separation anywhere in that pack.
A little bit of battles happening even deeper in the field. Ricky Springer, we saw, had a big moment on one of the restarts. Shuffled back to P20. He's had pace tonight, but this is going to be disappointing because it led into one of the longer runs that we've had when we had that problem. It's a lot harder to earn spots than it is to lose them.
Not the greatest time to have to come down to pit lane under yellow as Slaughter got squeezed out of the corner by Bappy, or just got too much dirty air on the nose and had to really catch it before hitting the wall. But yeah, 50 and Springer probably has top 10 pace. He might even have top 5 pace, but it's going to be tough to get back through the entire field. He's pretty far behind everyone ahead of him, but he's at least back into the top 20 as Bappy is starting to battle Seth Knoll. Knoll's going to use that apron during the tri-oval just to get a little bit of a run on the 89 to defend from that right rear move, but he's able to defend for a little longer. But I don't know how much longer he can do this as Slaughter just had a big wiggle in the middle of 1 and 2.
David Weishart and as the 28 of Travis Beckner having a little side-by-side moment here. And then Patrick Moose and Mason Kane. Those are 2 names we haven't mentioned yet. That's Devin Johnson at the bottom of the racetrack. He's going to go a lap down. JT Poole is also lap down. Rafe Slade and Sean Peachin are out of this race. And it is getting scrappy if it wasn't enough already. Look at Jake Nichols. He had an inkling that he could jam that 73 up the outside, and he did just that.
He just got to the right rear of Urashak, but I don't think it's going to, well, it is going to actually turn into second place. Urashak kind of got spooked, went to the bottom lane, and I don't think he fully committed to the bottom lane because of that move by the 73. So that outside line paying dividends, and that aggressive move to the right rear paying dividends as he's going to try to chase down. Oh, Urashak tapped the wall there, got loosened up by Matheson, but the 73 is going to try to chase Marin back down.
This 12 has been really aggressive tonight. Gotten him some places, but I think it's gotten him in trouble a little bit. The 52 saw the wheels crank back to the right there. Turn right to go left. Like the documentary that is Pixar Cars, man. I tell you, I've seen that in the real world. I've seen it here.
No Cars is older than the guy that won the Xfinity race this week.
Thanks, Connor. Sebastian Marin. He has got a comfortable command of this race. And we're coming to halfway very, very soon. Matheson's still trying to work over this 12 truck.
I think Urashak's truck, his tires, his fronts are starting to fall off a little bit as well, even a little later than what the ones did, as Matthew Bappy's going to get by Seth Knoll now that he's stuck on the bottom line. So I think you're starting to see who used their front tires up and who still has a little bit left at this point in the run, as that 73 is reeling in the 32 just a little bit.
Watch the 81 here in turns 3 and 4. It was on the outside of Patrick Moose in the 38. Watch this wiggle mid-corner. Oh, I thought he had a great, well, maybe it was there. He had a big wiggle, I thought, but maybe he synced or something.
He's had a few others at certain points of this run. He's one of the ones that I've seen struggling the most with rear grip compared to front grip for the 1 in the 12. He's really been sliding that 81.
Nichols has just been painting that outside wall purple tonight. Halfway here at Chicagoland. 32 minutes of racing remaining if it stays green. That's how quick things come to blows here, and they're going to owe us a pit stop at least. When do you hit pit lane? Try to split this in half. That would be another 15 laps from now or so.
I think that window opens at 75. I don't think you'd want to pit that early. You might go maybe 5-10 laps longer, but that track position is going to matter a little bit as Euroshack stays to the outside of the 52 of Matheson, but that track position matters less when it gets spread out. Usually you need packs to slow drivers doing an overcut up to make that work, but that might change what these driver strategies are if it keeps cooling down and if the guys at the front get more and more spread out.
Matheson's looking really zoned in right now. Interesting, I don't know if I've noticed his wheel choice before. It looks like it's like a Formula-style yoke, which I wouldn't find incredibly comfortable for oval racing, but he seems pretty zoned in.
Knoll trying to block Beckner to the outside now. You can see that one is really fading. This is for the 7th position, a little further behind. And Travis Beckner starting to heat up a little bit. He started all the way back in 29th, but one had a big slide out of 2 there. 28's going to get it, but we haven't seen a lot of Beckner yet. It's taken him 60 laps to get really into the top 10, but he's moving now. But as Jacob Bell's pointed out, I think the guy who's going to be moving the most is going to be John Hall. He just cleared Matthew Bappy, and he's up to 5th, and I think he's been saving his tires to get back towards that lead battle.
Laps clicking away here. Strategies already in play in drivers' minds. Teams are probably talking about it right now, trying to figure out when is best to come to pit lane. Fall off as far as lap times, we're seeing about 2 seconds worth right now, and Sebastian Marin's lead is gone. Jake Nichols has reeled him in, so is Jake Matheson, and the Jake and Jake show is looking to take over from Sebastian Marin here in Chicago.
It's all a matter of who can make the pass on Marin first. The 32 has been running the bottom. He kind of went defensive in the entry to turn 3 last time by, but this time he didn't really commit. He ran the middle there, and that's not really what I think you want to do, but you'll keep a decent gap over Jake Nichols, just enough to keep him at bay another set of corners, and we'll see if he goes back to the bottom. Not really. He's going not to the way high side like Nichols is, but it's just enough to keep dirty air on the nose of the 73, and a little bit of a kind of a decision I think he's making, trying to get these two side by side, maybe get them to battle instead of getting closer to him.
Well, it would be working because they're still door to door through turn 1. Nichols has just been way up top for most of this run.
I think he's starting to pay the price for it, though. You've seen his grip out of the corner starting to fade, and Matheson's going to be able to take second because of that. So I think if I was Marin there, I would have given dirty air to the 52 because I think he is faster than the 73. I think that high side, Yershak just slammed the wall there as he's starting to fade even more, but I think that outside lane is starting to cook those tires for some drivers.
Yeah, he got it pretty good, and he just kind of walked it up into it. It was one of those that catches you by surprise. He wasn't driving the car up there in a slide. He just walked up the hill, and he really didn't anticipate it knocking off the fence.
Reminds you of a 550 wall slap. You're good, you're good, you're good. Then very corner exit, you're not, and it's in the wall, and you just don't know what hit you because you were fine, and all of a sudden, it just takes off. That's how the air in these trucks can be at times. As you can see, the top 7 or 8 have really spread out. Has kind of gotten bottlenecked behind Seth Knoll at times. He's still fading. As a matter of fact, he's about to be outside of the top 10. Brad Sawyer just got by. Danny Ware's almost into the top 10. He's had a great run tonight for that 98 truck as he's just right behind the 81.
He has had a good night, and that one is really struggling now. There's the 30 of Jeremy Miller. We haven't really talked a lot about him tonight. 40th place, third to last start.
Out of a lead.
And yes, indeed, here comes the 52. On the inside of Sebastian Marin, out of turn 4, closing in on 50 laps to go.
He's going to cut it down. There he goes.
Wow.
You can see that time he didn't go way high like he had been with the 73. He's trying to just give as much trouble to the 52 as possible, trying to keep this lead before pit stops. But Matheson kind of saw what he was going to do there, trying to wind up that run on the outside. But that bottom line, if that driver on the outside pinches you, it's just very difficult to complete that passes. It's a game of cat and mouse. It really is like 550 because you're trying to predict as the leader, predict where that driver behind you is going to go, and then you got to try to take that line away.
There's maybe some drivers thinking about peeling off to pit lane potentially. Not quite. They're just really racing hard back there, aren't they? That's what it looks like.
I think Ben Pierce was getting out of the way, but there is some hard racing. David Weishart started near the front. He just hasn't been able to maintain that track position. He's back to the 13th position as Marin trying to keep this lead away. As here's that move to the outside. This 52 a little further down the wall than the 73 had been, but Marin really struggled to get to the bottom through there. He should have a run here, but I don't know if he's going to be able to get anywhere with it.
50 laps to go from Chicagoland. And these two have separated themselves as the cream of the crop, at least this time through.
Here we go. He's going to have a good shot to get the 32 here. He's got enough positioning over him.
Side draft again from the 32 of Marin. He's trying to keep him in touch. If he gets cleared here, could be game over for now. He does get clear, but he's going to drive up the outside. Marin trying to cling to this.
That took guts from Marin. I thought Matheson was going to try to slide up in front of him, but he really didn't, and that let Marin get back to the outside and maybe keep this position. Now this time I don't think he'll pinch as hard. The last time he got caught between pinching and not, but now Nick Matheson's going to go for the slide job, and he really slid it up out of the corner, and here comes a crossover. But now this is what Matheson wants. He wants drivers right here to be able to have overlap on Marin into the corner, but I think Marin's probably just going to return the slide job to him.
He will. He's going to probably check up mid-corner to try to prevent the over-under. Not really, but Matheson, wow, this is great racing here. Back and forth, back and forth. Who leads this time? I don't even know, don't even care. They're still, again, just nose to nose. Marin on the top side, but this is a losing battle, I think.
He's going to try it again, but I think he checked up too much to get back to the 52, and yep, he's just going to concede a little tap there and say, all right, you got me. I'm going to try to get you back, though. He dove right to the bottom of the racetrack there, but he's going to get dirty air all over the nose. So Jake Matheson took him a while, but he's finally up to the front. Notably, Connor Yershak got back by Jake Nichols for third while that was going on. Like I said, I think that high line from the 73 really starting to see it struggle.
All right, so we are now at the halfway point between the restart or the last time they pit, I should say, and the end of the race. So I would anticipate to see at least some drivers make their way to pit lane. This is a pretty frantic scramble back here. This is behind the 30 of Miller, Knoll, Weishart, Hearn, Balliet, Scherer Jr., and more.
And you were talking about pit stops. I saw the 51 of Springer. He did come down, so
that's
the 9.
Earlier.
Oh, boy. His lap's down. That's Mason Kane. Maybe he's trying to pit.
Wow. That was dramatic.
Yeah, I think what happened, Kane was trying to pit, and he kind of chopped the 9 in doing so. That was really risky. I think someone just missed pit lane, but still entered. That was Seidenfaden. Yeah. But 51 pitting, we'll see how much track position he gets, but that's earlier than I thought the fuel could go, but we'll just have to wait and see. It might not even matter. You might not want to pit if you saw this.
No, I think that's part of it, right, is this pit lane's really tricky to get onto as Brad Slaughter Jr. bails. So there's a high possibility, especially with the packs that we've got, that people could get wrapped up in a crash, and then you really want to have still been on the racetrack, I would think. So
kind of stretching the fuel as far as it can go. Most of these drivers haven't been in since about lap 25 or 26, so I can't imagine these drivers can go much further.
50 laps into their stint, 45 to go.
Comes Danny Ware. Here comes a lot of them. Weishart. Oh, they're stacking up on corner entry, on pit entry. 33, 67. I think Senesac is in there as well, as Chris Seidenfaden also had to come back down. His race is pretty much over because of that.
If we can get through this green flag pit stop sequence without any dramas, then that statistically is going to reduce the chance for collisions down even further. So strategy is going to matter a lot.
Here's an important one. John Hall's going to come down. He's going to bring some others. Here comes Bappy. Here comes Beckner. I think Balliet's coming down a little bit further back as well. Schaefer, 41.5. And I think if you're Jake Matheson, you might consider bringing it in now. That 03 was very good long run.
Got a couple of trucks right on his heels, though. He's going to skip it this time. Marin's coming. Here comes Sebastian Marin to pit lane. Jake Nichols is going to follow. Patrick Moose will do the same.
Yeah, I thought you should have responded there, but we'll see if this starts to hurt the 52 later in the run. Miller slides in. Shearer slides in as well. But all of them are on pit road. Looks to be clean.
Connor Urashak gained a lot of ground here because of those peeling off. He got dragged back into the fight. Now is right on the heels of the race leader, despite him not having maybe the best long run pace of that group. Does Matheson. Here comes Urashak.
So Matheson's going to take fresher tires in an overcut over an undercut for clean air as Urashak kind of cooked it there. Oh, Venable's really sliding on pit lane. That's going to be borderline as well. Let's throw it away on pit entry.
12 trucks still need to pit. And it'll be less this time once they stop at the box. That stint count will reset. And Matheson.
Here he comes.
I've heard him lift. Oh, he's in really hot. Can he get it? Whoa, down.
Yeah,
that was nicely done.
That was almost perfect. He's going to bring Knoll down. Drew Jua is going to go the long way around. So Jua, Wineland, looks like Casey Lakatos will stay out as well.
40 laps to go.
Trying to look at who cycles out where. It looks like John Hall, for now, would cycle out to be the race leader. Urashak a little bit further behind. Hall had just gotten by Ricky Springer and is ahead of Slaughter and Marin.
Spechner's in the middle of a scrap here with Mason Kane.
Drew Jua is not going to make pit entry.
Oh, no, he will not. And he's going to be just...
He made it, but
yeah,
not the way he wanted.
No. Wineland is your leader. Casey Lakatos, Valadez, Day, Waterworth, Brown, the only ones left to pit. And so the battle for the lead will resume with these drivers. John Hall and Ricky Springer, who's got 5-lap older tires. He would really love a yellow once things get sorted out so he can get back on sequence with everyone else.
Yeah, I think that would be for sure. This is a pretty decent cycle for Urashak, I would say. That 52 is going to have to go through a lot more trucks, I would think, as the 21 of Wineland finally comes down. Lakatos is going to go another lap, as does Valadez and Day and a few others.
Yeah, so we're dwindling down. So this is your battle for the lead. John Hall, and then really the fight for second is what is heating up. Slaughter Jr., Ricky Springer, Sebastian Marin. And Marin is in a great spot because he's got fresher tires than everybody ahead of him here, and he was the quickest truck before.
And Springer is just going to be holding on for as long as he can. Same thing, similar thing for the 81 with slightly older tires. They're just going to be battling everyone pretty hard trying to keep that track position. That being Urashak, they're going to go side by side. This has really spread the field out through pit stops, and it didn't really spread things out last night after pit stops. We saw that pack 10th and 20th kind of converge on each other near the end, causing that late race yellow.
And just 3 trucks left. Lakatos, who I think is now coming to pit lane. Valadez is going to stay out another go.
Just hoping for a yellow, hoping to catch drivers' laps down and just hoping to get track position for themselves for the end of this race, but you'd probably need a yellow next 2 laps. I can't imagine these drivers can go more than maybe 5 more laps on fuel for Valadez.
I was hoping for a yellow. I'm not confident he's going to get one. We've completed effectively a green flag pit cycle, and that spreads things out, and it becomes a strategy race from here on out.
Oh my gosh.
He's way out. He's in the wall. I thought he's even dragged the quarter panel on the fence.
That is certainly a line there.
One of the lines of all time.
I would say so, as Daniel Day is getting lapped by the 03, so he had a penalty somewhere for the 61. That's going to drop him down the order, which is not what he needed considering his point situation. Marin is pretty close to the 03 already with just 1 lap truck in between the two at this point. Urashak fresher tires not too far behind. The 52 still even further behind with more trucks to get through.
Yeah, the advantage that Matheson has is about 5 laps Oh man, it's not even that, is it? It's only 2 laps on Sebastian Marin. Last night we saw 4 laps be a pretty significant difference, but 2 is a tough sell for me. I know there's a lot of time left, over 30 laps, but they go by quick, don't they?
They certainly will, and the more time he spends behind drivers not making the pass, the less time he's going to have to get that lead from either John Hall or Sebastian Marin. He needs those two to maybe battle a little bit to help him out, as Valdez finally has a sliding entrance on the pit lane. Will finally cycle it out to John Hall, who takes over the race lead. But Matheson, he's just getting by Ricky Springer now for about the 9th position.
Not what he needed. Daniel Day got back out in front of him, and that's going to bring Marin right to the tailpipes of the 0-3.
Daniel Day pit on lap 83, so I can't imagine his tires are that much different either, but this will hurt John Hall trying to stay in the race lead, and it'll help Sebastian Marin a lot, and that help everyone else behind Marin even too.
Which lane do you pick Marin now in behind the lap truck?
Because that pass is not going to get made on the bottom unless you slide up in front of him. The tires are still new enough, you can't really make that slide job work because there's not enough off-throttle time at this point yet.
Remember Darlington? A couple of rounds ago, what it came down to in the last few corners?
I think one booted the other.
You're sure right about that.
I'm sure John Hall remembers. Oh, Slaughter spinning 81 around out of 4.
Oh, and gets clobbered.
Travis Beckner, big damage.
Caution is out, and this changes everything.
Big damage on the 28.
Big damage for a big hit. Let's see what happened.
Big damage for drivers who overcut.
Oh, and it was Beckner's teammate that got into the back of the 81.
Ooh, and Slaughter, a huge overcorrect. Wow, Jake Matheson just got through that. That was tough. But yeah, that looked like 89 just rolled up on the bumper of the 81 and hit him. Nichols just gets by on the inside. Slaughter's gonna, you could see the wheel turn to the right, just gonna overcorrect, put Bappy into the wall, and Travis nowhere he could go really, but Matheson, I don't know how he got through that.
That was wild for Matheson. Let's see if we can hop on board with him. See his perspective of all this.
Whoa, that 28 got air.
Oh, man. Gonna wake you up. All right, pit stops again. We thought we were done. We are not. Fields on pit lane, and let's see if anyone tries maybe a 2-tire call here.
I think drivers who just pit might like a Valadez, but I don't even think he's lead lap. See Patrick Moose coming out. I don't think anyone tried it.
No. 4 tires for everybody, I think, actually.
A lot of words between the 33, or not the 33, the 81, the 61, no, 31, 89. They're all painted the same.
Yeah.
81, 89, 28. Words exchanged.
You can only imagine. Well, it has been an exciting one so far. We're down to the last 30 laps. Check out the High Banks podcast. Just 2 blue-collar guys, Nick and Alex, talking about NASCAR and more. If you listen to episode 205 with Brad Slaughter and the new episode with Jacob Bell, that is available on Spotify. And check out Rick's Hot Sauce. Head over to rickshotsauce.com for some of the best hot sauces made locally in South Florida. Try the Loxahatchee Classic, Golden Garlic, Palm Beach Pineapple, or South Beach Heat. Follow the Rick's Hot Sauce Rookie of the Year battle in the Area Cup Series and see which driver takes home the $100 prize as the highest finishing rookie in the point standings. And I'm not sure if we'll get another yellow, but I'm going to forget if I don't. Check out shop.areairacing.com. If you check it out, see that high-quality merchandise at low prices. Shop from over 100 selections of t-shirts, hats, champion brand clothing, and more area accessories. Easy to shop, quicker to ship, better to wear at shop.areairacing.com. Predictions for the final 25 or so laps. Kind of once we get this restart, things are going to be a little interesting. Eric Wineland, I think, is just going to stay out. He's only got 9 laps on his tires. Why not?
I don't blame him. I think you might as well take track position where you can get it. Him and Case Lakatos are going to do this, as Lakatos, I think, got his damage fully repaired finally, and he is lead lap. So looks like Lakatos pit lap 84. Battle lap 82 for Wineland, so the 50 tires are fresher. So I don't really hate this call, but this initial restart is going to be very, very tough for these two to try to keep this track position and try to just get what they can and get as good of a launch as they can. This restart, this yellow, just exactly what Jake Matheson didn't need. He needed that to go green to have that overcut play out, and that's not what he got.
And Jake Matheson, I have times on pit lane that don't make a lot of sense to me. He definitely stopped and got tires?
I would think so, yeah.
Okay.
It certainly looked like it to me.
Showing nothing in the lane or box.
Yeah, he definitely took 4.
Okay, good to know. 1 to green, lights are off on the pace truck. I have a sneaking suspicion with 25 or so laps to go and a lot on the line here with the playoffs coming up. Well, it's not the last time we're going to see this pace truck tonight.
I would not think so. What's going to be important here is lane choice, and obviously only the leader gets it, but Eric Wineland picks the outside line, so that's not what John Hall wanted. He wanted to get that jump on the bottom, as we've seen third place get all night long, but now that puts fourth place Sebastian Marin in the best spot to get this race lead away from the drivers on older tires, puts Yuroshak at a disadvantage, puts Nichols at an advantage as well, so the 32... I don't know if he's getting a gift. We'll see how it plays out with the older tires in 1 and 2, but that's definitely what he wanted. He definitely wants the leader choosing his lane. He can get the jump on his bumper.
Doubled up. Pace truck off. They're leaving quite a gap to the pace truck here, too. It's going to be a slow restart. Eric Wineland on the outside. Does he have anything here on a late race restart? 27 laps to go, and look at John Hall immediately to the bottom. Green flag, and he is wasting no time.
Ooh, Marin and Yuroshak hit there. Marin came down the track, not sure why, but he did not get the restart he needed. There's a crash at the back.
Tyler Hallman, and caution's out.
I think Wineland's going to keep the lead. A really messy restart there. See what happened here. They're kind of all on their own. He just missed a shift.
Yeah, he looks like he just kind of stopped in the 81, ran into the back of it. What happened here? What's this thing? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's transmissions don't do that.
Critical error at a really bad time for the 81, unfortunately.
Rains it pours for Brad Slaughter. Even more damage to the nose.
Nothing he could have done there.
Yeah. Well, wrong place, wrong time. As he'll come down to pit for repairs. Pretty much everyone else stays out. Daniel Day's coming in. I think Batby's pretty much out of this race. Well, Wineland kept the lead, but Lakatos is now third, so that puts John Hall in second on the front row. And that was just a really... I don't even know if they would have made it out of turn 2 with how crazy that restart was. I thought Marin would get a jump. He just didn't.
No, John Hall was ready to go. He was pouncing on that opportunity. But Marin from 6th has got to work a lot harder to make his magic happen. I think Yuroshak is in a good spot. Jake Matheson too, but Marin's 6th place. And a lot of the trucks ahead of him are on the same strategy, so he's got to just pass them outright. And so that's going to require a lot of aggression here on this next restart.
Yeah, I think the aggression is what's going to put us in probable green-white checkered range if we don't get a run here. But this is exactly what Eric Wineland would probably want as Lucas Strayer gets the lucky dog. He probably would not really care about, you know, just having yellows before they even get out of turn number 2. It would keep him in the lead almost certainly. But yeah, it was weird. They were really far off the pace truck, and Sebastian Marin was really not on Eric Wineland's bumper. I think they were worried about tire spin for the 21 and the 50, but they really didn't have any of it there. So probably overly cautious for the 32, kind of cost him a good restart.
So we've got 30 trucks on the lead lap. 4 are a lap down. That's Ben Pierce, Jonathan Evans, Jeremy Brown, and Brad Slaughter, although I think Brad Slaughter's night is over with that crash damage. We've got Chris Seidenfeiten 2 laps down. And Hallman 3, Batby, I think these guys are all out. Hallman, Batby, Johnson. 2 to green here. this time by because we got those lap down trucks extending the yellow flag. Man, this has been an interesting night, but let's look forward a little bit to what is coming up on the calendar. We've got Rockingham next week, 140 laps at Rockingham. That's a track that has put on some interesting shows in SimTV history, Connor. We haven't been there in a really long time, but it's always an interesting race.
I don't think we've been there since the groove kind of changed. I think you're going to see a lot of that top line, not what we saw the last time. I think the Pro Series was there, and that was a pretty wild race. We saw like 4 flips there when the Pro Series went there last. But the track's changed. I think you're going to see that wall line come into play a little bit more, so that should really make things interesting. You're going to see drivers on the way bottom and the way top. So it's going to be really interesting to see how it races there. It's a big wild card race. We've seen some surprise winners in various leagues in the past. I think some drivers will probably need to surprise some drivers in their field and try to get into the playoffs with that one golden ticket into victory lane and into the playoffs.
Yeah, Talladega coming up to finish off the regular season. Man, that's mean. It's really one heck of a way to slice off those that can't survive. And then Bristol, Michigan, Iowa, Kansas, and Atlanta 2008 are the tail end of our season and where we contest the playoffs here in the Area Truck Series for 2024. Now 1 to green on the restart. The 9 of Jonathan Evans just getting back underway. Jeremy Brown is following.
Travis Beckner still repairing that right front. That's still pretty broken as well, but different shoes here. Weiland picks the bottom, maybe giving the 50 a little bit of a jump at it instead of the 12, but not going to give John Hall the opportunity to cut to the apron this time.
I'm curious to see if Eric Wineland can parlay this into a decent finish. It wasn't really much of a factor tonight. Started in 39th place, and we didn't really talk about him a lot, but now he has inserted himself into a position where he could probably get a top 10 easily, top 5 with some effort, and if he's really lucky, hang on to this somehow and steal a win. He's got 8-lap older tires than John Hall, who's alongside him. John Hall tonight has led a total of only 5 laps somehow. Sebastian Marin has led the majority at 63.
Both 50 and 21 were outside the top 20 before pit sequence happened under green.
Lap 99 of 120. Take one down, pass it around. Green flag. We're back underway at Chicagoland. Big jump from the 1 of Seth Knoll. I'd be surprised if that wasn't a jump restart bar. He just got really lucky if that was not the case.
Well, you can jump out of line before the line, so we'll see if they rule it a jump or not. Wineland clear. 50 and 12 kind of jumped it, got a big bump to the drivers on the front row, but here comes that high line. And this is where the tires are going to hurt the 21 and 50, especially being on the bottom of the track.
Oh, you can see he's loose on the bottom there, trying to chase it up the hill. John Hall carrying speed out of turn 4. Big swing across the racetrack to the bottom.
And if he can be the first one to clear that 21, it's going to be important just to get away from everyone else behind him. He should clear Weiland here, but the 21 pretty strong around the top. He's trying to hold it, but more grip from the 03 got John Hall back out front. Here comes Euroshak.
Euroshak wants this. Weiland on the high side here. Can he parlay that into something better? Here comes Marin in the middle of the field, trying to split the difference between the 52 and the 21.
That's exactly what he had to do, and there's nothing Weiland can do besides hold that high line and just hope he can hold some drivers up. But Euroshak is all over John Hall, but he's not going to run in his tire tracks. He's going to try to run that higher line, get a little bit of a run off the corner, maybe get close to the rear bumper next time around as Hall starts to break the draft.
Dragging each other across the road like it's Indianapolis. 20 laps to go, coming to 19. And Marin still middle 3 wide, trying to find a way through the chaos.
Oh, man.
Tucks it behind the 12, but just.
Nichols is going to block Wineland's advancements as they both, him and Licata, start to fall back here, and that battle becomes the battle for third. Matheson on the bottom. Marin's not giving 52 anything to slide up, so they're going to kind of drag each other back to the 73 and the 38. Patrick Moose had a great run through the field tonight, but John Hall is staying pretty sturdy at the front of the field.
Things are starting to string out, if you could call it that. Marin on the outside of Matheson. These two might just tangle with each other and give Euroshak enough time to separate the Gazelle from the rest of the herd. Laps clicking away here, and John Hall leads this race.
And There's no time for really saving any sort of tire. If you have anything, you got to go for it at this point, as Matheson and Marin might have had some contact out of turn 2 there. Marin gets back to the right rear of the 52. It's almost the battle for the lead all over again, but now it's the battle for third. They can't really do much when they're side by side like this, just trying to fight each other and kind of bringing themselves out of that lead battle by doing this.
And Jake Nichols would be in this fight if they continue to do this. Going back to the high side again. It didn't pay off for him in the long run, but the medium to short run, this 73 was so good on the outside lane, carrying so much more momentum than everybody else.
And he was very good at it, but we'll see if that top line comes in on such a short run. The track temp's down a little bit more than it was earlier. The tire, turn 4, is shaded at this point of the race, so I'm not sure if there's going to be enough up there to really make that work again.
Casey Licata still 9th. After the night he had, the crash damage from earlier, he's rebounded quite nicely, although Wineland is fading. There's the 51 of Ricky Springer charging back into this. He wants a top 10.
Maybe a little too late for a top 5, but he can get by these two and almost solidify a top 10. But these two are kind of hogging up the lanes, both on older tires. He's going to split the middle out of the corner, and he's just going to have enough room given to him by Licatis to go for it, and it's going to stay 3 wide.
They run each other out of room into turn 1, the 51. Carrying good speed on the outside of Cameron Hearn. Really tight, 5 trucks under a blanket on the backstretch.
Now here comes Mason Kane. He's trying to go up the middle. Oh, they're hitting a little bit there. A little contact, almost 4 wide. They all kind of lifted out of it at the same time, so problem not solved yet. There it is, contact.
Oh. Back into traffic, clips the 30. And more trucks involved. Hard hits for several of them. And
more cut line drivers. Jeremy Miller in that.
Debris flying everywhere.
You saw them all lift to try to get out of it into 3, and they all lift at the same time. Didn't help anything there. You see little contact there. They all, Hearn kind of lifts, but so does they really all just didn't really give anything there. 21 kind of came up the track, Kane kind of throttled up, and that's what happened there, and that doesn't hold the brake. Jeremy Miller, big hit, he came in just below the cut line. Balliet had to slide to avoid it. This makes things really interesting as far as strategy.
The 30 takes a massive hit to the outside wall there too.
And everyone's pitting. So no strategy really there unless we see some 2 tires. David Weishart's going to stay out, though.
I like the stay out or 2-tire call here, Connor, because with how the aggression level we've seen, I don't know that we'll get a lot of green flag running. I would be on the offensive, you know what I mean?
I think you take 2 tires here, take the track position. Jeremy Miller still doesn't reset, by the way. This is his Josh Williams moment, just sitting in the grass. Peace.
That truck is destroyed.
Old Marin out first in front of Hall, then Yurashak, Matheson, Springer.
So Ryan Swan also stayed out, 17-lap old tires there. This is where you run into the different incentives for different drivers, and cautions breed cautions.
This is going to be wild.
I would say so.
Swan stayed out. I feel like Marin took 2, but I did not see for sure.
So I'll read you through that. So because I've got the times up here. So those that took 2 tires: Marin, Hall, Yurashak, Matheson, Springer, Ware. Nichols took 4, Moose took 4, Jua took 2, and then from there on out it's all 4 tires. So it's mostly 2 tires all the way back to Jake Nichols, who did 4.
So Hall is, all right, so the 0-3.
0-3 took 2.
He took 2. There's a lot of 2 tires. So Nichols is the first one on 4.
Correct. He will restart 9th.
I kind of like that. I thought more people would take 2, but Jake Nichols was the only thing about Nichols. He's going to line up on the bottom, so he might be a little pinned here.
If this race goes green, I don't anticipate it to, but if it does, I think 4 is a good call. It needs to go green all the way. If you get any other yellow flags, you want the track position because you want to be out front when the yellows fly.
If it goes fully green, I like the 73. But I think if we get majority restarts here, I like the 2 tires from Marin, Yershak, Hall, etc. And it's just a matter of who gets from in front of Weishart and Swan first.
Pace truck will shut the lights off this time. We'll restart next time. That will put us at a 10-lap shootout to the end of this race. We never made our initial picks for this race, but you had to take a pick.
I did pick Yershak like after he slid because I realized you missed it. I'm still going to pick him. He has pretty good short run pace. It was kind of weird. He had good short run pace, fell off in the middle, and then near the end of a long run we had, he kind of reeled Matheson back in. So I still got the 12.
Well, I'm going to roll with the 0-3. I think John Hall has shown the best pace tonight. He had one kind of stolen from him at Darlington, too. He has one win that came back at Texas. I think he adds a second to the column. He's the closest to the front. I think the track position and the strategy he has played is the best combination of the top 10 at the moment. But we'll see. Live sports, you don't know the outcome until it's over.
A lot of players that could shake things up near the front with Weishart's in on points, but say Yershak gets up there and Evans gets up there with their wins, it becomes a whole different story. So no more security than what a race victory would give you. You have Ryan Swan, who had an EOL for this race earlier. He is pretty far down in points. He's 37th, so a win from him wouldn't even really shake things up. But a number of things can happen here in 10 laps.
Let's find out. 10 laps to go, 15 miles at Chicagoland Speedway. Here we go. Green flag. We're back underway.
Here goes Marin.
At the bottom, 3 abreast underneath Swan and Weishart. Going to get tight down here in turn 1, and Swan is just sucker hold, nowhere to go.
Oh, we got to the bottom in front of Springer. I don't think the 51's going to put up with that. Oh, there's a crash. Joshua Balliet into a wall hard. Another big crash. Another caution. Edward Scheer is in that. Garrett Grant, Devin Johnson, and more involved in that.
Yeah, 7 took the biggest hit of all there.
Michael Venable might have been in that.
But this is why I think at this point, I mean, especially with how this series has gone this year, you know, once you get to this point, it's all about track position.
3 wide tight. Balliet on the apron. Yeah, Balliet, they kind of all came together. Balliet hit the apron, wow. Then the 61 and 50 hit. Scheer took a big hit as well. That was the hit from Venable, so the 95, who's pretty high in points, got involved in that. But you could see there's not enough room for 3. I mean, there is on this track, but none was given. Edward Scheer was almost through that, too. Wow.
Oh, the 17 took a major wallop there.
Really, all 3 trucks there did. And that's what 4-tire takers don't want to see, but someone like David Weishart is fine with that. Ooh.
Wow. Here it is again at full speed now.
It's huge. All sorts of pieces flying everywhere. And that's going to take a lot more drivers out of the race. We noted Scheer was in that. He was also near that cut line, 25 back. We've already seen JT Poole have issues. We saw Daniel Day involved in that one. He was above the cut line. Obviously, Travis Beckner had issues. Garrett Grant was in that last crash. And obviously, Jonathan Evans has had a pretty poor day. But some guys below the cut line that have had good days. Ricky Springer's recovered. He's about 7th. And obviously, Connor Yershak's had a great day.
Yeah, I think at this point, I'm all on the David Weishart train as far as the strategy call. He just needs to nail these restarts. I think he's looking really good to steal one. I mean, and let's talk about David Weishart here for a second, about the season he has had, because he has scored 8th in the point standings. No wins to his name. Best finish of a 3rd back in Pocono. And a handful of top 10s, but this would by far be his best finish. He'd rack up a win in the wins column. I like the risk that he took here. It was the right timing for it as well. And now he's just got to maintain for the next handful of laps, because we're not going to get the 1 to go this time. This will be a 2 to go, I think.
Could be, so we'll probably go with 5 to go.
5 to go. I mean, that's really not a lot of time. Again, if it goes green from 5 to go, that's a different story, but I don't think it will.
It's not just 1 green, white checker. We got 3. And we don't want to use them up, but I guarantee David Weishart would be just fine with using them up. I think on 2 tires, Marin and Euroshak, they all probably need 1 lap to get around to 33. I think Weishart will be able to keep the lead through 1 and 2. 3 and 4, I think you're going to see that truck struggle a little bit. You'll probably see Marin and those 2 tires get a run out of 4 and take it into turn number 1, but they need at least a lap to pass that 33, I would think. So that's what they're just hoping for, a lap. Obviously, the guys on 4 tires like Jake Nichols, they kind of needed 10 laps green. They're only gonna get 5 laps at best, and Jake Nichols even lost a spot on that restart. I'm not sure if Patrick Moose is on 2, but I know Nichols is now back to 10th, so I'm not even sure if 2 tires is gonna make a difference at this point.
Weishart moves to the outside. I don't know about this call. Do you want the outside or the inside for the restart?
I guess I just want whoever is my biggest threat to be pinned in. Maybe he thinks Euroshak's his biggest threat, but I feel like I would probably take bottom anyways, but he probably just doesn't want the driver on the inside getting a run on him out of 2. I think you pick the outside. We saw the last time the leader picked the outside when it was Wineland, that driver in 4th did not get a good jump, and it kind of made them side by side for 2nd. It gave Weiland kind of an extra half lap to fight for that lead. So that might be Weishart's thought process here.
Doubled up for the restart. Weishart on the outside. He's got John Hall behind him, then Jake Matheson in that 52. What can the 52 do if John Hall makes things exciting up there on the outside groove? 52 looked really strong tonight. The 12 has looked strong, the 03 and the 32. So really, it's those 4 trucks that are running 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th that are the ones that probably would have filtered to the top. But Weishart on 24-lap-old tires is trying the age-old strategy call of staying out late in the race. Benefit of track position.
He tried this at Darlington in the Pro Series, and it ended up kind of fading near the end here at around this point.
5 laps to go at Chicagoland. Pace truck pulls off. Here we go. Green flag back in the air.
Marin timed it well. He might still be on the inside. Not quite, so Weishart gets where he needed to go, but he didn't really get enough of a jump like I thought he needed to. Marin's going to have a pretty good run at him.
Got a great run through the center of 1 and 2 on the bottom. Weishart tried to cover it, but he could not. Big wiggles in the background. The 73 got sideways, getting pushed from behind. Here comes Marin to the lead down into turn 3.
And if he can get by and no one else can, it could be the winning move. He's already clear Weishart, and Euroshak's not going to be able to make that work. Watch John Hall try to get to the right rear of Weishart, or maybe just shove him up there, back into a side-by-side battle. Big block by Marin. He almost put Weishart in the wall. Hall shoved the 33 back into the fight.
Weishart is just trying to see if he can cling to anything. Big wiggle, and he's not going to have a run out of the corner. It's going to stack up the 03 and the 12.
And not making that pass, John Hall probably should have gone to the outside of Weishart, but instead he's kind of locked into shoving the 33 to keep him in it. Now he's going to try to get up there, but he's not going to get to his outside before the exit of the corner.
No, he's stuck in behind right now. He's going to swing to the right, but it might be... Wow, that was dicey. The 52 to the bottom, and I thought Hall was going to get squeezed, but he backed out. He's still trapped behind the 33, and they're going to crash.
Here we go. Big crash. Weishart. Euroshak's upside down onto the wall. We're still green. They didn't fully spin. Now Euroshak hits Jeremy Brown. Now the caution's out, and now we're in the green-white checker territory.
Saw that coming from a mile and a half away.
That really shuffled up the front, and once again, he's 21st in points. He cannot afford a finish like he's going to get. This is huge for his playoff hopes.
They go down into turn 1, and there is just not space for 3 trucks here.
Well, Weishart just kind of doesn't give him any room. And then John Hall gets a piece of it, puts the 12 on his lid. Then Euroshak just doesn't hold the brakes, and poor Jeremy Brown, nothing he could do, but that would be That would be Weishart. Oh, Weishart and Yurashak are wrecking on pit road live, actually. Not happy. I think Yurashak's not happy with Weishart. Weishart probably not happy with Yurashak. But to me, that's the 33 just trying to hold on to something he's not going to keep and just didn't give those two room.
Not really sure what to make of that, to be honest.
Weishart's on older tires, so he's trying to fight for what he's got. He really doesn't really give enough room to get through there. It's tight. And that really cost John Hall.
Oh, man, the 87.
I didn't even see who initiated contact on pit road. I just saw them coming together.
Well, that'll be interesting.
Certainly will be. I think looking back at it myself, it was Yurashak who came up to Weishart. So, you know, Yurashak, if he gets suspended, he's already missed 2 races. That's his playoffs done if he misses a third. So, actually, yeah, so if he misses another race, his playoff hopes are done regardless of that win. So, certainly maybe not a driver who cares about that much at this point. But what this has done is really shake up the order. You have Marin first, you have Matheson second. Danny Ware has moved into third. Out of nowhere, got through that. Now Patrick Moose is fourth, then Springer and Nichols. And you see John Hall, he's back to 7th with front end damage through all this. Danny Ware, looking at where he is in points in that 98 truck, I'm pretty sure he's ran the full season, and he is pretty far down the order.
This is just not a racetrack that I'm
26th.
If I'm on the playoff bubble, this is not a racetrack I want to have a bad night at. In theory, a mile and a half should be your most bog standard. If I'm going to finish 5th, I'm going to finish 5th kind of night. You really don't want to turn it into what the 12 has gotten himself into. And I don't blame the 12 necessarily for the crash, but it's all circumstantial, right? I mean, it doesn't really matter whose fault it was. You're out of the race. And this is just, I mean, you have to leave yourself a margin for things like Talladega and Darlington, the tracks that can bite you. Chicagoland shouldn't be biting you. I mean, same thing with, I mean, again, not of their own doing necessarily. I guess Balliet sort of was, but Venable, you know, Hallman, Batby, JT Poole, that was completely on his own. I mean, mile and a half racetrack.
And I think you're absolutely right. If you got to maximize your points and run where you've been running at a mile and a half, where you can really kind of control your fate more than anywhere.
These aren't supposed to be the wild card races. These are the filler races that are just supposed to get you through to the next week where the wild card is. But you know, they have the ability to put on a really good show, but you don't want to get wrapped up too much in the heat of battle. I mean, there's just so much more to lose than there is to gain with everything going on.
Yeah, you know, having a blow up, you know, turning someone on pit road like that could just pretty much cost you everything you've been working for as well in Yurashak's case. So we'll see what gets called there. Because like we said, one more, if he missed one more race, he would not be playoff eligible with that win. So that's going to really be a big call as Sebastian Marin takes the inside. Danny Ware might have the jump here over Jake Matheson.
So now we've kind of shuffled I mean, Ricky Springer's ended up 5th out of all this.
I think he'd take that, but not over yet.
I think he would take that.
A lot can happen in 3 miles. I don't even know, is Danny Ware? They're almost, what the heck? Oh, they're hitting Marin and Maxim kind of door there. I think Danny Ware's on 2, but I'm not fully sure. But we know Jake Nichols is on 6th on 4 tires. I'm sure he wish he got the 6th with the 10 to go restart, though.
Area Truck Series from Chicagoland, in theory, just 2 laps to go. We're already 4 laps over scheduled distance. Ace truck is going to peel off. Marin is the control truck. 2 laps left, 3 miles at Chicagoland.
That's about as good as you could time it from second place. Matheson's going to be on his door. They're 4 wide with Seth Knoll the way to the bottom. He backed out of it.
Only good thing Ricky Springer's in the middle. Well, that's not going to play. You need more room than that. You're going to crash. You just can't pinch that tight when you're 3 wide. Somehow they made it out alive, but I'm not sure we're going to get through 3 and 4. Here comes Danny Ware.
He's to be inside of Marin, shoved him up the track, and he's got him right where he wants him.
Look at the 52, though, building a run out of turn 4. Can we get to the white flag? We will get there. Now it's going to be chaos on this final lap. Danny Ware is just tenths of a second away from winning a race in the Area Truck Series.
Didn't have a good enough 3 and 4, and if Matheson gets to his outside, he's not going to be able to do anything. Side by side, that's exactly what the 32 needs.
Down the back straightaway for the final time. We are going to wreck some trucks down here, I'm certain of it. Everybody vying to get into the playoffs. Sebastian Marin, he is going to pad his lead tonight. Here's the 51 sliding out of turn 4. They somehow make it to the stripe. Marin, 5th win on the season. Matheson and Ware, 2nd and 3rd. And style points for the front 2.
Would not have predicted to get the line clean.
They really tried hard not to, but they did.
Gosh. 5 wins. Unreal finish. I thought for a second Danny Ware had him. He just could not hold it inside of Sebastian Marin.
He is racking up the bonus points in pretty spectacular fashion. There's some smoke up ahead.
13 spinning on his own.
And Marin in the Hendry County Motorsports Park truck is going to burn it down here on the front straightaway at Chicagoland.
Getting all the bonus points he needs to fight the 73. Maybe it's going to be close for that point lead. I think Nichols might keep it, but it is going to be tight these last 2 races for those extra 30 points between those 2.
Well, how about that? 3 Fords in the top 10 as well. John Hall, 10th. That'll be a really disappointing day for him after being up front all night long. And look at the rest of the field there. And Patrick Moose, 4th place. That's a good run. Drew Jua, 6th. Reese Schaefer, 8th. I think they'll all take that.
Yeah, we didn't talk about the 13 or 07 a lot tonight. I think Ricky Springer may be disappointed where he restarted. He restarted 5th, but I think 7th overall will be fine with him. How about Danny Ware, 3rd place? He almost had that one. And if he could have gotten some points the last 2 weeks with that win, it would have made that playoff tight, but just not to be.
Yeah, looking down the rest of the order here. Lucas Strayer, 11th. Gary Waterworth. Travis Beckner, 15th. We didn't see a lot out of him tonight, unfortunately. Jonathan Evans, 16th. Ryan Swan, Senesac Brown, and Sherrod Jr. wrapping out the top 20. And then on this list, David Weishart, 27th. Didn't quite pan out for him, did it?
And Yarashak 28th, they'll, I'm sure, disagree after the race and probably have more words exchanged between those 2. We'll see if Yarashak gets anything for that. But it was just kind of tight racing at the end of a race, no one giving an inch, just like on that restart. Wineland 25th, so that gamble didn't really pay off for him after the contact with Mason Kane. Daniel Day 21st, Valadez, Ben Pierce, Lacadas, and a few others down there. Cameron Hearn was in the top 15 all night long, didn't get the finish he deserved either.
And look down the rest of the order. JT Poole, 40th. Mason Kane, 35th. Miller caught up in a collision out of his own doing tonight, 34th place. His luck this year in general has just not been very good. Rafe Slayton Peachin out with crash damage early. Danny Ware finishes 3rd place. Mr. Where did he come from tonight? Up into 3rd place after starting this race in 12th. He dropped as far down as 28th through the night, but late in this race, cautions, you charged up to P3, and here you are. Congratulations, a great points night for you. Wow, take us through those last 25 laps.
Yeah, I don't know. It was basically luck. I was just trying to get a top 10 finish, and somehow it just fell into my hands that I got a top 3 somehow. They just kept on wrecking. I just somehow dodged everything.
Yeah, the racing tonight was pretty fierce on the long runs and the short runs, but especially in those late race restarts. It gets so packed up. Everyone's trying to carry so much momentum. How do you pick your way through that and place your truck in a place that's not quite as vulnerable as some of the other guys were putting themselves in tonight?
Sometimes you just got to pick your line and hope it's the right line. Sometimes it's not, but it's hard. It's just a guessing game at that point.
Well, when we look forward to, the next couple of rounds, we got Rockingham next week and Talladega coming up after that. Is there any momentum from this, or is this just one of those circumstantial situations that puts you where you need to be?
I think it's definitely gains. I've had probably the worst season ever in area so far, so it's good finally get on the podium for once this season, and I don't know, I couldn't do it without the 09 guys and SimRap Market, Elwood Designs, Project Racing Development. All of them help me get faster every week.
Danny Ware, third place tonight in the number 98. Congratulations, man. Strong run, P3 tonight.
Thank you.
And Jake Matheson comes home in second place. And, well, tonight was an interesting night. We had some green flag running. He led a couple of laps here and there, but, hey, P2's not so bad. I know you would have liked one more spot, but that was some good battles all night long.
Yeah, you know, that was just like a classic All right, sorry. Yeah, it was just a classic Chicago race. I mean, just all lanes were working. Super fun race up front between everybody. I mean, that top 5 was just, it was just a blast. So, yeah, I really wish that went green from that green flag pit stop because I knew I was in at least a top 3 spot with that position or that strategy. But what are you gonna do? Still a fun brawl to the end, though. Good win for Seb. He ran that race great.
Yeah, it was a great race, and we got Rockingham up next week. You think you can get it done there?
Oh, Rockingham. That's going to be another fun one. If we can keep it green for a while, that'll be fun. But it'll be another close one. It's very, very... the competition in this series is... So, you know, it's going to be a good race up front again. See what happens.
Chicagoland was nice to you, Jake. Congratulations. P2, we'll see you next week.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Just real quick, I want to thank Area Shop, Celsius, Huckett Films, Front Row Motorsports, Infinity Communications, and Miller Racing. We're going to see you guys next week. Should be fun.
Thanks, Jake. And winning this race for the 5th time this season, it's Sebastian Marin. Man, just racking up the bonus points left and right. He had to work for it, though, in the late stages of this one. Led 72 laps. 4 laps into overtime, you get it done. Take us through your night.
Yeah, what an awesome night. Love this racetrack. Just, oh man, that was fun. I kind of wish that last stint went green. But yeah, I knew a track position was going to be very key being around here, especially how much throttle you have to keep around the whole track to go quick. So I just decided to get to the lead and stay there for most of the run. Then that longest run that we had, Jake, I think, sat back a little bit early and saved his stuff and then came through, took the lead. And then it was going to be interesting if it went green because you had a mixed bag of tires. You know, if John decided to battle me for the lead at the time, it would have held me up and then let the people on fresher tires behind catch up. So it would have been a real dogfight. And then the restart after that, after I lost track position to John, Connor, and Jake, I thought it was over, to be honest. But that next caution kind of saved me because, you know, it kind of forced everybody to pit again. And then I think Jake and Connor had minor errors or just iRacing giving them a slow stop. And I managed to come out as the lead car on tires. Restarted in the perfect lane, and then I believe it was Weishart ended up picking the top when I restarted on the front row. I think that basically decided me to win because I think if he picks bottom, then since it's wide open through 1 and 2, I think Connor just does what I did, right? He gets a run, gets under him, and then clears him in the next corner. But he didn't, and then after that, it was just good old dogfight for the win, and I feel confident that I could hold it in a green-white checkered, and I did. So, yeah, awesome race, so I couldn't be any happier.
Sebastian Marin wins at Chicagoland, win 5 of the season. We'll see you next week at Rockingham.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. All right, Connor, wrapping things up here from Chicagoland Speedway. Kind of a long night with those late race yellows, but Sebastian Marin goes back to victory lane. Maybe no surprise, but it wasn't as linear of a story as we were anticipating.
There isn't a truck series at this point. He closes on Jake Nichols unofficially 4 points behind with 2 races to go, trying to get those 30 extra bonus points. Playoff cut line's pretty tight right now. Evans and Yarashak are still outside the top 20, so Case Lakatis right now is the last one in, 10 points over Pacey Wygen. Jeremy Miller, Ricky Springer, Garrett Grant, Shearer, a number of other drivers just didn't have the days they needed. So a lot of points on the line the last 2 weeks. Getting to the finish is so important when the points are that tight. Drivers like Yarashak, Ricky Springer was able to do it, but drivers like Yarashak, Beckner, Shearer, and others weren't able to do so. That could end up being the difference, but we got The Rock coming up next.
The Rock, Rockingham Speedway. We'll see you next week for the Area Truck Series. More racing from Chicagoland on Thursday night with Florida State Builders Area Pro Series, and we'll see you there.